Chris, good evening. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery. There, finally did get the live notification. Okay, we're ready to rock now. Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Always a pleasure to have you along with us on a very, very cold, starting out to be a nasty Wednesday night. I just drove back from church and it was starting to get nasty out there. So if you're on the roads this evening, be careful. Try to stay warm because it's going to get nothing but colder. As Larry at Rabbit Homesteading says, up. Thought I took care of that, but I did not. All right. We'll there we go. Weather forecast says it's going to get even colder and nastier. Who we got with us tonight? Cliff, good evening, buddy. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Mike is in Arizona, and he's not too bothered by the weather. I will promise you that. Craig, how was your day? I know it was busy. I hope you got a lot done. Craig's better half, Michelle. John, good evening. John from Jay's Sporting Goods Marketing Department. Paul, how are you this evening? Matt, Uncle Johnny. TJ, Joe checking in from GermFast. Let me jump over to Instagram. Who's with us? KM Layton's with us. Kevin's with us. Yeah, we'll try the Wednesday Night Live over on Instagram. Instagram does not make it easy. Corey, I was just looking at your text, buddy. I did not respond to you yet because I just walked in the door, but prayers are with you for a good, solid recovery. You might be able to hear my heater on. It's at my feet right now because it's a little cold down here in my basement office, my basement studio. If it is objectionable to you, I will turn it off. But I'd like to have my toes stay warm here. Otto, good evening. How are you? Thanks for joining us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery. And I'm live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And really don't get much of a response over on Instagram, but it's a good thing, I think, to give it a try. My Instagram following continues to slowly grow. I'd like to continue to grow it, but you figure I got 94,000 on Facebook and like 9,400 on Instagram. Probably more than that now. Eric, good evening. How are you? Glad to have you along with us. Hello, Lori. How have you been? Oh, no. Roger says, you won't believe it, a red-winged blackbird in our feeder tonight. That's not possible. I mean, I don't doubt it, but holy cow. Bob says, Antrim County is snowing rather nicely. Brad, good evening. Hey, Mark, good evening, my friend. I saw you on there this morning and didn't get a chance to respond because when you came on, I was already recording the radio segment. So also, Mark, I wanted to thank you for donating a trip for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. There it is. Does that show up on Instagram? It does not. But there is the website to get your tickets for our Trinity Monitor dinner. Tickets are $100 a piece. You can fit 8 people at a table. You can actually fit 10. 8 is comfortable. Go to one.bidpal.net, get your tickets. Oh, there it is. Okay. Get your tickets. Saturday, March 7th. Going to be a wonderful time. Michael, good evening. How are you? Hello, Joe. Joe Marion, Captain Chucks did a local ice report. 10 inches on Hamlin Lake, 5 inches on Pure Marquette Lake. Siberia, Ludington. My friend Lanny, who has a place at Sugar Springs in north central Michigan, mid Michigan, central Michigan. He says they've got 2 feet of ice in front of his house. Jim, good evening. How are you? Harry, old guy's got to stay warm. Amen to that, brother. Randy, how are you? Oh, he's getting ready to teach a canning and sourdough weekend workshop this weekend. Excellent. Jim, how are you? What is the Browns event on February 7th? Don't know, Lori. I'm sorry. Johnny Bowler. Good evening, buddy. How are you? Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Johnny has donated a couple of wonderful events, activities, hunts to our Trinity Monitor dinner, including a bear hunt for next fall and also a UP whitetail hunt. So, Johnny, thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing you at the dinner. Jeff, good evening. How are you? Let me jump over to Instagram. It did show up. Okay, cool. We'll get a photo if he shows up Thursday. Now, yeah, please do. Bernie, I was wondering where you have been. Been 5 weeks since I was last year. Don't know why. An old retired guy like me isn't all that busy. Must have been slept through them all. Ha 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 ha. Mike and Marlette checking in. Mike, good evening. How are you? Chris, nice to have you along with us as well for this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Now, if we talk about anything right now, we've got to be talking about the weather. I mean, we got a little bit of a storm that came through today. Got a couple inches of snow here. It's blowing now. And now the temperatures are going to drop. If you look at the forecast for this weekend coming up, it is going to get downright brutal. Of course, the good news in all of that is it's making ice. So if you are an ice fisherman, an ice angler, you got to be pretty happy about that because it is indeed making ice. Also, I've noticed, and maybe you have as well, that the days are getting longer. Isn't that nice to see? The days are getting longer. Need to take a sip here from my Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation overpriced Yeti. You can see that I've used this quite a bit. My friends at Jay's don't like it when I dish Yeti. But I got to tell you, obviously they make great products, but man, are they overpriced? What they charge for Yetis is ridiculous. I won't pay it, but other people tend to buy me Yeti products. I'll use them, but I won't buy them. Jerry checking in from Algonac. Lori says, oh, Brian's house. Brian's house is a hospice in Bay County, and they reached out to me and asked me if I would help support the event by being the MC of the event. I said yes, because my dad in his final week was in a hospice in Grand Rapids, and I've seen how hospices work. We talked about this before. They're doing God's work. So Brian's house is trying to raise money. That is Saturday, February 7th at Bay Valley in Bay County. And I am an MC. Beyond that, I'm really not involved in it. I'm not helping to put it on. I'm not helping to organize it, as opposed to the Trinity event, which I'm much more involved in. They asked me if I'd be a vendor. Yeah. Nick said it's ice racing time. Bernie did some work outside, 20-degree heat wave, going back into hibernation. Chris, good evening, Mike. No luck with the dough. This old muzzle loader didn't get to sound off. TJ's ready to do some shed hunting. Then it'll be time to look for morels and springtime turkey hunting. Well, yeah, I'm glad to see that you're looking ahead, TJ. Sounds to me like you've got spring fever. M. Ward is with us over on Instagram. Thanks for joining us. I do certainly appreciate it. A Instagram edition on Wednesday Night Live is something new. Roger, too expensive for me. Brian's house or Trinity? Brian's house, I think, is a $75 ticket. Trinity is $100, is $100. I've never talked to anybody who went to the Trinity dinner who said it wasn't worth the money. I got to be honest. I think we put on a pretty good event, and it is because God has, in my opinion, blessed the event, and we have some very good, hardworking people at Trinity. Mike, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. All right, Doug Ward, Captain Doug Ward, has donated a wonderful fishing adventure for the Trinity event as well. Again, here's how you get your tickets. Go to one.bidpal.net, get your tickets online. Captain Doug Ward has donated a salmon fishing trip to our Trinity event. Thank you, Cap. Appreciate that very, very much. Doug Ward has been so extremely supportive of everything I've ever been involved in. Jerry, good evening. How are you? JT, nice to have you along with us. Emil, the staff that do the work, hospice are very special people. Have my complete respect. Amen to that, Emil. And Emil, thank you for donating the golf package in West Branch to our Trinity event. Both 100. Oh, the Brian's house is 100. Let me check. I can throw up a. She sent me a flyer. No, tickets for Brian's house are $75. Mike, how you doing, buddy? Your big sturgeon spearing season on Black Lake is coming up here very soon. Looks like you're going to have ice for it this year. Johnny Bowler said very, very well worth it and more. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that. Lori's sending me a text. Well, they must have raised it because the one that I have only says 75. They either raise the price, either I have a new one or you have a new one, Lori. So they either raised the price or they dropped it. TJ, have you thought any more on the dinner-only option for the golf outing? Yes, I have. And I think it's a good idea. I need to run it by the powers that be, the other powers that be, and see if it's something they would be interested in. In order to accommodate that, we would have to put up a tent. But it is certainly an option. Otto said he went snowshoeing Saturday. Very nice time. I saw that, Lori. Yes. I've never fished Lake Simcoe, but I think Doug Ward was heading over there. Doug, did you go? You got a fishing report for us? Let me go back to Instagram. Just checking in over there. The thing about the Instagram feed is whereas the Facebook and everything else is a horizontal feed, I look like I'm genuflecting here. Everything else is horizontal, but then Facebook or Instagram is vertical. Doug, how did your perch fishing trip go over on Simcoe? Okay. Saturday, Friday, they're drawing the winners for the Pure Michigan Hunt. I did win. I don't have official verification, but I did win. So that's wonderful. Did you notice, if you follow me on Facebook, I made a post about that the Pure Michigan Hunt winner drawing was coming up the 23rd or the 24th. And it absolutely amazes me, the negativity in the world today. I am absolutely convinced that there are people who wake up in the morning and they look around and go, how can I make myself miserable today? What can I do today to be negative and miserable and try to bring down everybody around me? And I think most of those people are on Facebook, and I think a lot of them comment on my posts. As an example, I talked about the Pure Michigan Hunt, and inevitably, well, that's just a money grab by the DNR. It's out there for rich people. I wouldn't give the DNR a dime. Well, okay. The Pure Michigan Hunt application is $5. $5. Do you think it's the rich people who are doing the $5 Pure Michigan Hunt application? $5? If you don't want to do it, and it's too now, the deadline is passed, but if you didn't want to do it, didn't want to apply, then don't. Save yourself the $5 and increase my odds of winning. But why do you feel the need that you got to piss and moan about it and bitch about it? And you know, there are certainly people who hate the DNR so much that there's nothing the DNR can do that is good. But how is the Pure Michigan Hunt not good? When I win, I will keep the bull elk tag. I will keep the bear tag and use it with my friend Johnny Bowler. And then I will give everything else away to organizations, to charity organizations, charitable organizations, so they can use those things to make money. Tracy's agreeing. Mike, good evening, buddy. How are you? It is sad, Mike, isn't it? It's just, it's sad. We as people can decide whether we're going to try to be a positive force or a negative force. Now, are we all going to be positive and upbeat every day? Of course not. But overall, do we want to do something good, or do we want to sit back and just gripe about things? That's a choice we have. Yeah. I don't know, TJ, if you can start right now or if you have to wait until the winner is drawn. That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. Johnny says, yeah, say yeah. $200 into it. Good for you. Lake Ontario in New York. In 2 days, 6 of us had between 500 and 600 fish. No limit there. Got caught up in that big blizzard. Spent the night in the town. They showed it on the national news. Crazy amount of snow and travel. Doug, were you headed to Simcoe originally, or did I misunderstand? Alja9095 is with us over on Instagram. Thanks for joining us over there. That's one of the things I don't like about Instagram is nobody uses their real name. It is stupid, Johnny. Yes. Yeah, true. Well, good point. Mike said he starts the day out in the Word. Always brightens it up. Hard to have a bad day when you started out like that. Okay, what else is on my list? Some events coming up. Lori brought one of them up. Saturday, February 7th, fundraiser for Brian's House Hospice. I am emceeing that event. That will be at Bay Valley Resort in Bay County. The weekend of the 21st and 22nd, which coincides with Outdoor Rama, at what used to be Novi Expo Center. It used to be Suburban Collection Showplace. Now it's something different. MUCC's convention is that weekend. I am really looking forward to this because I think we'll get a sense, especially if they've named the new CEO by then, I hope to get a sense of where the organization is headed. Then on March 7th, our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction at the Great Hall in Midland. There's how you get your tickets. bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. Some wonderful live auction items, silent auction items, online auction items, gun raffles, bourbon pull, wine pull, just 50-50 and a wonderful meal. Just so much going on. It's a great event. Then, all right, so the Trinity event, right? I kind of host that event and MC it, and I'm the auctioneer, and it's an honor. It's a blessing to do it, but I walk away from that night absolutely wrecked. I am exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally. Usually, I spend that next Sunday just recuperating. This year, we are heading down to Florida to watch my granddaughter Addison play spring softball. She's going down there with her college team, Calvin College. There's a Calvin University. I don't know what it is these days. It's Calvin. So I'll go right from the Trinity event. Also, that's the time change. So I lose an hour of sleep. We fly out of Flint at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be fun. Then I come back, and on the 14th, I'm doing an event at the Reese Adventure Club. I don't know what that is yet. I don't know much about it, but I'll be out there as well. Where are we? Mike, it will be a great season, great chivalry party Friday and Saturday. Raffle items used to raise funds for Sturgeon for Tomorrow. SturgeonForTomorrow.org, SturgeonForTomorrow.org. No, just headed. Okay, my mistake. I thought you were going to Simcoe. Again, Doug, thank you for your donation. Amo, your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers. You can grow weeds. I'm a poet now. You're a poet and don't know it. Amy, good evening. How are you? Johnny's got 8 people coming. Excellent. When you get a chance, Johnny, so 8 people coming. Okay, give me their names, Johnny, in a text. I'll make sure that I take care of your ticket, put you guys all together, and take care of you in other ways as well. TJ, ever done a segment on saddle hunting? Yes, we've done several of them. David, good evening. How are you? Chris, looks like we're going to get real snow this weekend. Renee, you made it. Excellent. Glad to have you along with us. Bernie says, I always start my day with a positive attitude. That way, when the crap hits the fan, it has less effect on things. Good deal. Good deal. Who's over on Instagram with us? Gus at Sam's is with us. Good evening, Gus. How are you, my good friend? Nice to have you along with us. Steve Guy, Shayla Marie, Justin, all joining us over on Instagram. My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. Trying to get more serious about doing live feeds on Instagram as well. I haven't been because it's just more of a hassle, but it's a hassle that's probably worth it. Thanks, Doug, for some info. Okay, what else is on my list here? Let me tell you who's coming up on the show this week. My first guest is Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters out of Linwood Beach Marina. We're talking about Saginaw Bay ice fishing. Wintertime, obviously, ice fishing for walleye on Saginaw Bay. As cold as it has been, Captain Graham is still saying, look at guys and gals, don't get too excited. Don't get nervous. Don't be stupid. Give the bay some time yet. He said even with the temps the way they're going to be, he said, I would let it get through the weekend and not worry about trying to get out there until next week. I know a lot of people will be out there on the bay this weekend. Your call. Your call. Just don't be stupid. I'm not saying going out on the ice is stupid, but don't be stupid, because Saginaw Bay can be a different critter, a different animal. And if you don't know the bay, if you're not a local, if you don't have experience out there, just be careful early in the season like this. Later on, it'll be rock solid. Martin, good evening. How are you? Johnny, can I pause? Johnny says, can you pause while I grab a mixed drink? Got it, Johnny? Okay, anything for you, buddy. Amy, Tennessee to see a big snow, supposedly this weekend. Believe it when I see it. Hey, Brent, how have you been, buddy? Stephen has all of his paperwork submitted for the MUCC convention. I think I probably have to, I don't know. Do I have to do paperwork? I got to get a room. And we're not all going to be staying on site, which will be kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Did teach someone how to trap back to teaching. Good evening, Eric. How are you? Jim says a lot of bad spots out there. That's exactly right. And the reason Jason was saying he wasn't going to trust the bay yet, he said just a few days ago, they were sitting on shore and looking at the ice with binoculars and they could still see open water. Got it? All right. Bernie says, I went through the ice once. Excellent. Brent's building fishing rods and watching me. Well, I appreciate that so very much. 51 Bravos with us over on Instagram, as well as John Bartros with us too. Thank you, my friends, for joining us. I do certainly appreciate it. I do live streams every Wednesday night at 7 with the very original title called Wednesday Night Live. I also do a Behind the Mic segment every Wednesday morning at 8:45 from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Also on the show this week, Dan Ulfig of the Michigan Wildlife Council with an update on the Here for Generations campaign. I also believe that in today's world, we can no longer just sit back and be observers. I think we have to be participants. And I know that makes many of us, myself included, uncomfortable. Because as outdoorsmen and women, we have a tendency to not want to be joiners. We don't want to be involved. We want to do things on our own. Just leave us alone and let us do our own thing, right? Unfortunately, that is a luxury that in today's world, I don't think we can any longer subscribe to, because we have to become more involved, more active, and more vocal if our way of life, our outdoor lifestyle, is to continue. because Lord knows there's a lot of people out there who are very vocal who don't know anything about what we do and have no respect for us and want to take our way of life away. So we have to get involved. One way I've done that is to throw my support behind two organizations. One of them, the Michigan Wildlife Council, and their Here for Generations campaign. I think they're doing a wonderful job. The other one, MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs. Now, MUCC is in transition right now. I am hopeful and optimistic that things will shake out and that MUCC will be a strong, viable organization. I'm going to stay with them. Hey, listen, I loved everybody at MUCC. Amy Trotter, Justin Tomei, Steve Wyndham, the marketing guy, the young guy, and I got a mental block. I can't think of his name, but he was a great guy as well. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Tyler Mihai. None of those people are there anymore, but that doesn't mean that the organization is going to tank. No. They're in the process of hiring a new CEO. I hope we get to meet that person at convention. So my point is I'm going to continue to support those organizations. In our second hour, okay, now it's getting too hot. Joe Valchansky, who is the president of the Michigan Trappers and Predator Callers Association, joins me to talk about trapping. He talks about a recent trapping adventure he went on in Kansas. He compares that to trapping in Michigan. We talk about trapping in general. I used the pond here behind the house and the beavers that a trapper came in and took out for us as an example how trapping is a very viable and very useful and sometimes necessary service these days. By the way, the other day the conditions were just right that we had a fresh snow, and for the first time I actually noticed on the other side of the pond, I got my binoculars out and looked at it, but the number of big mature trees on the opposite side of the pond that those beavers had taken down. They really did some damage. So anyway, we talk about trapping with Joe Valchansky. Then Merle Jones, who coincidentally is also with the Michigan Trappers and Predator Callers Association. Joe is a trapper, Merle is a predator hunter, and Merle talks about the fact that the NRC has finally agreed officially to go back to year-round coyote hunting. This week's Ask Avery question I will come back to in a minute. Cliff knows what it is, but it's a very, very good question. Then in our third hour, we switch gears and talk about wintertime squirrel hunting with Rick Hobbs of the Michigan Squirrel Dog Association. We wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. And Dave has another walleye recipe. It's a banana walleye recipe. I have video of it, and I will post that on my social media outlets this weekend. Todd, good evening. How are you? I agree. I mean, even if I was a hardcore ice angler, I'm not sure I would be going out this weekend because the temps are going to be so brutal. However, if you're going out, say on an inland lake, and you got a heated shack or a heated pop-up shanty, why not? No problem, Brad. Roger, exactly. Bernie, I was out there with some state police friends who hauled me out right away, up to my neck. Steve says, please join MUCC.org. Now, one of the things that MUCC is going to put an emphasis on now is individual memberships. Matt says he just renewed his. Thank you. In the past, MUCC has relied in large part on memberships through their organizations. But you know what? MUCC made like $5 or $6 a person on those. And there is a financial concern. MUCC has to become more financially stable. Right now, an individual membership is $35. That's going to have to go up. I'm telling you right now, that's going to have to go up. But MUCC is going to be putting a push on individual memberships. Vote to renew membership. Excellent. Excellent, Renee. Thank you. Johnny says a high of 1 below up there on Friday. Yeah, it's going to get brutal, brutal, brutal. Over on Instagram, CNJ Cantu joined us. BJ Hebert has joined us. I appreciate that so much. Tom Heriter, I'm looking at your text comment to me. Thank you. I appreciate that so very much. I'm never afraid to throw my support behind something I believe in, and to be honest with you, I'm never afraid to criticize something that I feel is wrong. For example, the previous NRC. Now, I do believe that I'm going to call it the new NRC with some new members is better, but the previous NRC was the previous NRC was abysmal. Let me do a quick search here for Cliff because I have. Here we go. This week's Ask Avery question, and this is from Clifford Moran. Cliff is on here with us now. He's a very, very faithful listener. Cliff says, listen to this. This is a very interesting question. Cliff says, I have a friend who in the past made a bad choice. That bad choice got him in trouble, and he was convicted of a felony. He did his time, and he's now back home. He loves to deer hunt. But due to the felony, he can only use a bow or a crossbow. I saw something online that he might be able to use a muzzleloader, because as we know, if we saw it online, it must be true. Because a muzzleloader is considered a primitive weapon and doesn't require a background check. I'd love for him, Cliff says, to be able to enjoy the hunt more, maybe reach out a little farther to fill his tags. Can you find out the answer on this? Well, absolutely I can. And I was pretty sure I knew the answer, and I did, but I reached out and I verified it with a friend of mine who is a very, very solid, reliable, trustworthy conservation officer. Here's the answer. A muzzleloader, under federal law, is not a firearm. However, it is under state law. So here's the thing. From the Fed's perspective, a muzzleloader is not a firearm, but here in the state of Michigan, it is. So therefore, a felon cannot possess or use a muzzleloader in Michigan. There are some options. Here's a caveat. There are some options. Depending on the felony, he could petition the court to have it expunged. I just thought that was an excellent question, Cliff, and there is your answer. And we use it on the radio show this week. Tim Binns, I wondered where you were, buddy. Glad to have you along with us. You were with us this morning. I was hoping you didn't freeze up there. I might have to call in blind. I can't see myself working in the cold like that. Steve, Friday morning in Grand Rapids area, the wind chill is going to be 25 below. It's crazy. I think we're going over to the west side of the state Sunday. We're going to see my granddaughter Addison. We're going to stop and see my mom. Okay, Larry, the individual membership should have an option not to get the magazine and calendar. I mean, they cost money I don't use. Rather, the 35, that's a good point. Thank you, Larry. I will bring that up. There should be an option when you do your membership, and right now it's only $35. It's going to have to go up. There should be an additional box you can check saying, I will pass on the magazine and calendar. Please use all those funds for MUCC. As a nut to take it even further, they could do like Woods and Waters does, and you could get the digital version of the magazine free, if there is such a thing. I don't know if there is. Absolutely. It's just been nasty out there. I figured that, Larry. I think that's a very, very good suggestion. Randy, good evening, buddy. How are you? Steve says there is a way to get that felony expunged. Does it depend on the conviction? Who's over? Bruce Almighty's with us. Bruce Almighty 58 over on Instagram. Tech Up North joined us. Aaron Meinberg joined us. Carter Maslowski's with us. Carter, good evening, buddy. How are you? Carter is my grandson. Yes, Ken Ruff says, okay, we're going to wait now till Monday to leave Florida for Michigan because of the nasty storms. I think that's a good idea, Ken. I think that's a good idea. Listen, you're a good friend of mine. I would feel better if you're not driving on those roads. Mike is a life member. Thank you. Okay, Captain Doug Ward, and I put up Doug's comments, and I covered my pretty face, but his comments are worth covering my pretty face for. He says, "You're right, Mike." Well, I usually am. That's a joke. Relax, that's a joke. Sitting back and watching is a great way to see our way of life get banned or severely limited. The other side is not quiet at all. And for some reason, thanks to social media, we seem to fight among ourselves concerning who's doing it right or wrong, or why my way is better. And we start bashing each other, blah, blah, blah. We need to stop this, start standing together, might be uncomfortable together for our passions, the way of life to continue for our future generations. Yeah. Why we are, future generations. Okay. And anti-social media has made this so absolutely easy, because the ding dongs, the dumbasses will sit back. The negative people, the people who are not committed to the lifestyle, will sit back and complain and gripe. And it just, how do you think we look when the antis and the non-participants look at a page like mine or any other page and they see the infighting and they see the comments? In fact, I had one guy call me out on my page. He says, "Boy, well, I'll just, for the heck of it, I'll read it to you." So this was a comment about the Pure Michigan Hunt. When I said, "Hey, it's coming up," and I won, of course, which is my joke. And Ken Letty, okay, a guy named Christopher Johnson said it's just a DNR money grab. And he said, next there'll be a governor's auction of tags to raise money. And he's the one who said less tags for hunters, more tags for those with the money to pay. And I said, "Hey, if you don't want to get involved, then don't. Better odds for me." And then a guy he's been on here before, Ken Letty, says, "It's funny how Mike threatens to delete and stop people from making you our own worst enemies. Yet here he is gaslighting Christopher Johnson. I guess you can make your own rules when it's your show." To which I said, "I'm not sure what gaslighting means," because I knew he didn't use the term correctly. But yes, my page, my rules. I do admit to being sick of the negative comments, though. Most people responded here positively. But of course, some can find nothing good and want to turn the Pure Michigan Hunt into a negative opportunity. Like I said to Christopher, if you don't like it, don't pay your $5. Is that gaslighting? Well, it's not gaslighting, but I think maybe I made my point with him. Josh, good evening. How are you? All right, Johnny, appreciate that. Kathy, how are you? How is the family? Kathy is Amy Trotter's mother. Everybody knows how much I respect Amy and miss her and miss working with her very, very much. Renee says the weather is keeping me off the ice this weekend. Matt says, "I agree. Great comments, Doug. He had to quit some of the fishing groups because of the bashing." Bernie says, "Do they play the lottery? Talk about money grabs." I know. See, and I just used that as an example to illustrate and to bolster Doug Ward's comments. It doesn't make any sense to turn on ourselves. TJ says, "We do miss Amy." It doesn't make any sense to turn on ourselves when we have so many other people who can't stand us. You can't stand our way of life. Henry says, "Yeah, I won't buy Pure Michigan Hunt, but spend thousands on lotto." Yeah. I just don't understand. And again, when I win the Pure Michigan Hunt, and I'm winning this year. Of course, they haven't drawn or officially announced it, but I am one of the 3 winners. I will keep the bull elk tag, and I'll keep the bear tag, and I'll donate everything else. John says, so he bought 2 for $10 and doubled his odds. Ken Karstens, good evening, buddy. Ken says, "Good evening, Mike. Please reclaim the Michigan weather you're sending us in Western Kentucky. 18 inches of snow and lots of ice is predicted for this weekend. Stay well, happy, and warm. Good hunting and fishing. Best wishes, always, Ken." Well, we don't want that weather either. Where are you going, Paul? You leaving us? Steve says, "People are stupid." Craig, who is listen, Craig Plowman is a good friend of mine, but he's also a very astute observer of the outdoors as far as hunting and fishing and the scene around it. So when Craig talks, I listen. Craig says the other thing we need to do is some research topics that concern us, like wolves. There are organizations fighting to get us management powers, and we should be supporting them. And we should not be supporting bogus concepts like the coy wolf. That's my comment. Tim says, I was going to enter the Pure Michigan hunt, but I knew you were going to win. So, well, thank you. Doug says, I don't buy lottery tickets. Pure Michigan hunt is my lottery option. I do not buy lottery tickets either. I refuse to buy lottery tickets. I'm not telling you that I crack a sweat a lot of days. It's not like I'm out there working on a road crew or putting on roofs. So it's not like I'm physically working my rear end off like many of you are. But I work hard enough that I'm not going to give my money to a casino or the lottery. I'm not going to do it. But I will pay a few bucks for the Pure Michigan hunt. TJ, I agree. It's like when we fish Lake Erie for walleye, everybody keeps their spots a secret. But we will tell everyone that asks because I want everyone to be successful and have a great time. Not sure why people are like that. Bernie says his sister went to Florida last week and they got snow. When I'm hunting the hunts of Pure Michigan, will you record them, please? Absolutely, I will. I will. Don't know, John. John asked a good question. What is the latest on DNR access law on private land? Oh, I know what you mean now. You mean as far as game wardens coming onto private land without a warrant? I don't know the answer to that, Bernie. That's a great question, or John. That's a good question, and I don't know. Steve said Doug Ward trying to get my bull elk tag is my lotto ticket. I've got some numbers here on the elk hunt. I'm not going to give them to you because numbers can be very, very boring. There were a record number of applicants, more than 47,000. They got 260 licenses. The harvest was down this year. The harvest was down. And it was down to the point that the powers that be, the elk managers in the DNR are thinking about doing some changes for next year. Angela Stiff's with us over on Instagram, as well as Michael Scott, Rick Funsef, and Kaner23. Nice to have you along with us. You could see some changes in the seasons for the Pure Michigan hunt next year. No, for the Michigan elk hunt next year to try to increase the odds of success. Because think about this. If a Michigan elk tag is basically a once-in-a-lifetime tag, now it's not necessarily, but for all practical purposes it is, and you've been putting in for 20 years to get an elk tag and you finally get an elk tag, do you want to be unsuccessful? No. You want to get the venison, you want to get the elk, you want to get an animal. You know, the success rate for the Michigan elk hunt should be nearly 100%, and in the past it has been. So we'll see what kind of changes they make, but they're looking about some of them were weather related, yes, but that is fairly consistent that early September hunt is often brutal with temperatures and sometimes a drought. So they're thinking about moving that hunt back or combining hunts so the success rate can go up. TJ says he thinks numbers are down due to the ice storm. Running bobcats bait in northern Michigan, having a hard time. Talk to other hunters say the same thing. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. So let me we've got to end on this, right? That's a song about me. Most interesting man in Michigan wrote that song about me, and I appreciate that. All right, my friends, my name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Bill Hoffman is the guy who wrote this song. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining me, my friends. Try to stay warm. If you're out moving around, be safe, stay warm. We'll talk to you next week right here on Wednesday Night Live.